You're saying you're paying attention. You're seeing what's going on with LA, and I'm guessing you heard the news that a certain Los Angeles ball club made a pretty big trade with them. I guess a certain Boston ball club. Uh, Obviously, you're in a wealthy position of knowledge to talk about it. Just tell us a bit. Tell Dodger fans a bit about what they can expect out of Mookie Betts in LA.
It's going to take about 5 seconds before LA falls in love with Mookie. He's just that kind of player. He's got an electric personality. He's so good on the field. He's so good with his teammates. He's so good with the fans. He's just a good person. And he does a lot of things, off the field very quietly. And he just does them because he's a good person. For example, during the World Series in 2018, somebody spotted him after one of the World Series games at midnight or 1 in the morning, giving trays of food to homeless people who are camped out by the Boston Public Library, which is relatively not all that far from Fenway Park. But he didn't want anybody to know, and he was upset that somebody found out because he said, I don't do it so people can, say, hey, what a good guy. He does it out of the goodness of his heart, and he'd have been happier had no one ever found out.
Yeah, he's not. He doesn't strike me as somebody that does it for the gram, as they say these days.
No. And he's just he's good around the clubhouse. He's not that overly, boisterous, rah kind of guy. He's not going to come in and pound his chest and go, "This is my team now." He's not going to be like that. He is going to go about his business. He works hard. He gets along with people, but he's all business when he gets to the ballpark. But he, he's really, really good at every aspect of the game. You're going to see him do some things during batting practice that you don't see a lot of players do. Sometimes you'll see a pitcher come in and take ground balls in the infield, but on a regular basis, Mookie will take ground balls at short, at second, at third, early in the day. And he does it just to stay engaged in all facets of the ball game.
Mm-hmm.
He came up as an infielder in the minor leagues. He was a second baseman. He projected early in his career as a second baseman, and then they moved him to the outfield. And he really hadn't played much outfield at all in his life before, I want to say, Double-A.
Uh-huh.
And they converted him to the outfield, and he's been exceptional, not just in right field. I've seen him play center field too. He can really go get it, but he is he's a special talent, no question about it. And when you already have the National League MVP in your outfield, then you add a guy who was the American League MVP 2 years ago, should have won it in 2016, to be honest. In my opinion, he should have beaten Mike Trout in that race. Trout's team was in last place. Mookie's team won the division. And Mookie, I thought, had a better year. But either way, he came in second. He's come in the top 6 in each of the last 4 years in American League MVP voting. He does everything well, strong arm, runs the bases exceptionally well. He can hit situationally. He can hit for power. I want to say, his aggressiveness at the plate over the last couple of years has been, highly noted as well. And that's when Alex Cora took over as manager, he met with Mookie that January, and he said, look, I want you to be our leadoff hitter, because Mookie hadn't been hitting leadoff in Boston very much. But he said, I want you to be the leadoff hitter, and I want you to swing at the first pitch. He goes, I want you in attack counts. First pitch strike, you swing. No more sitting around, no more getting deep into counts. And as a result, just look at last year, I want to say 19 of Mookie's 29 home runs came on the first 2 pitches of an at-bat, 8 of them on the first pitch. So he's instant offense. You go on the road, he can make it 1-0 by the time you blink.
They talk about him having an air quote down year, and I think your counterpart there, Joe Davis, tweeted something about it today. But 29 home runs in a 6-7 wins above replacement season. That's not bad for a down year. I'm just saying.
Most guys would take that as a career year. And
Same here.
He's, his RBI, he's going to be around 80 RBIs. For a leadoff guy, that's exceptional. But the one thing about Mookie Betts, and you can look at all of the sabermetrics and all the analytics, and I'm not against them. I'm all for changes in baseball if they make the game better and make you look at the game differently. I'm all for that. I'm not one of those get off my lawn guys. But I do go back to this, and I will tell you that the most important number in baseball is the number of runs you score, because you have to score more than the other team, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And last year, Mookie Betts had a career high 135 runs scored in what was supposed to be a down season.
Yeah.
This guy's going to score over 100 runs this year,
And
help this team win.
Yeah, you imagine him, obviously he's kind of slotting into that leadoff role, it looks like so far. Maybe that changes with Jock Peterson remaining on the team. You never know how things shake out before spring training, but you look at the idea of him getting on base, and all of a sudden you got either Seager or Muncy batting behind him, and then you have JT, you have Cody Bellinger. It's just an insanely deep lineup, and there's a chance he could break that run total he had last year. Being Betts, that's pretty exceptional talent to add to your team.
Yeah, I was thinking about that earlier today. I was thinking about the lineup, and 135 runs last year. He's consistently been a guy who scored 100 runs or better, and I was just wondering how many more he could score in this division.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he doesn't have the Yankees to play against in his division anymore. He's got the Giants, which is the rivalry team, but they're not as good. They're in a rebuilding situation.
Breaking story there.
Yeah. There's new news for you. But the Padres have a very good bullpen, but they're probably going to hang around for a little while, then fade like they seem to do. Arizona could be improved. The Rockies, I'm not very optimistic about Colorado this year, and not nearly as much as I was last year, and look at where they went.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think in this division, Mookie Betts can tear it up, and I think that's actually going to be a benefit for David Price also. David doesn't have to run the gauntlet in the American League East.
Yeah.
in that Yankee lineup as often as he would pitch against them. So, and Tampa Bay too. Don't discount Tampa Bay. They've been very good, and Toronto's improved. So,
yeah,
I look at David Price coming to Los Angeles, and I'm really thinking that this is going to benefit him quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, that's a name that's really been, a lot of people look at it as just a throw-in. It's like, no, I mean, this is still a very good pitcher, probably somebody that benefits a lot from not only the warm weather here on the West Coast and from playing against NL West teams and, other National League teams, but also just the depth of the Dodgers won't really make him have to throw 200 innings, 180 plus innings, keeps him fresh and all that. And I'm guessing you would agree with that much.
Yeah, I think they have to manage his innings,
Mm-hmm.
but I do think pitching in the National League West, particularly with the Dodgers and the offense that they can put up behind him,
Mm-hmm.
He's going to, look around some nights and go, wow, it's nice to have a 4-run lead, and you got some pretty good guys coming out of the bullpen to wrap things up. But I think he needed a change of scenery anyway. Just my personal opinion from being around him and seeing the circus that it is in Boston. I just don't think that he had the greatest relationship with the media there.
Yeah,
the fans would get on him sometimes they wouldn't. But he had a great World Series in 2018, and he had a very good postseason. And he's shown up. I mean, 2016, I think he had 35 starts.
Yes, yeah,
so
he was good.
Yeah, he posted up every night, and he was really good. And his sinker's good. He's got a good repertoire of pitches. He knows what he's doing. He's a professional, but he's never pitched in the National League, so he's going to have to swing a bat a little bit more often.
Which surely should be fun for 6'4", awkward-looking dude out of Vandy. It should be a lot of fun for Dodger fans.
Well, hopefully he'll work on his bunting and everything will be all right. But I've actually seen him get a few hits. He's all right. But at the same time, I think that him getting out of Boston at this time in his career was great. I mean, I'm in New England right now, and it was amazing that, when the trade was initially reported a week ago or so, I mean, the columns that started to come out in the newspapers there, saying good riddance, get out, goodbye.
Yeah.
And I mean, they were just, the writers there are just nasty anyway.
Yeah,
So
it really screamed a lot of the last big trade between LA and Boston, where Carl Crawford was sort of the throw in, and another guy coming sort of from Tampa. I mean, obviously Price took a bit of a detour there, but that just immediately didn't work. Even though with Price they did get a World Series out of it, but the Carl Crawford experience was generally positive here in LA, but just I think right from the get-go did not work for anybody in Boston. So as you kind of hope you see that, you're talking about the change of scenery, just getting away from Boston people. Should be better.
Different. The whole media thing is different because in Boston you've got people with a dagger out waiting to stab you in the back. And just to get a few extra likes on social media, and a few more eyeballs on their stories, and I'm not really exaggerating at all. I mean, I've actually heard a prominent columnist when I was there he'll remain nameless, but he came into our radio booth after the team lost 6 games in a row, and he said, "Hey, I came out tonight because I smelled blood. We need to get rid of this manager." And he wrote a column about how they needed to fire John Farrell.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they just lost 6 games in a row. There's 162 in the season. Every team's going to have I mean, this is what they do. They go out for blood all the time. And I don't get it. I never could understand that. I grew up around that region and I never could understand the mentality of it. But, the people in Los Angeles are fair. If you deserve criticism, you're going to get it. And if you don't, they're not going to come trying to cut your head off for no reason.
Yeah, that East Coast culture can be a little cutthroat. I think, if you're not yelling and screaming at the paper or at the screen when you're, or I should say really into the microphone when you're talking about something, you must not really have passion for whatever you're talking about, it seems.
Yeah, and I think that the whole situation with Boston on the back end of it, they look bad in the whole situation. Mm-hmm. And the Dodgers look really good around baseball. Baseball people I've talked with say, wow, the Dodgers really did a great job of that, especially taking Graterol.
Yes.
Because for whatever reason, Boston was trying to find a way to – I think there was some internal squabbling saying, I know you made the deal, but we don't like this deal now.
Yeah, some things in that front office seemed like they weren't quite 100% ready to all mesh up together yet.
Yeah.
And
I can't say because I wasn't there, but I would say that it didn't look right. And this guy Graterol, I got some good reports on him from people who've watched him pitch a number of times, and they told me that the 101 miles an hour plays because he's got really good movement, and the ball just tails and dips, and the thing goes all over the place. So. He's probably getting ready to be a primetime bullpen guy, and he projected as a bullpen guy all along. I don't know why Boston was surprised at that, but
that whole scenario seemed really just awkward and not well managed at all. Earlier, you brought up the word athlete when you're talking about. Mookie Betts. In the same regard, Boston's getting an exceptional athlete out of Alex Verdugo, and I think if people welcome him the right way, Verdugo over there in Boston can be an exceptional player, and on top of that, like just imagining him with the Green Monster there at Fenway is exciting. But just what are your thoughts on the Verdugo in Boston experience?
I'll be surprised if he's not a platoon player, to be honest with you. And here's why. There are reports today that the Red Sox are looking to sign Kevin Pillar.
Yeah, I saw that.
They want a right-handed hitting outfielder to complement him. Now, Andrew Benintendi is going to be the anchor in left field. Jackie Bradley Jr. is going to be the anchor in center. Verdugo may be in right field more than Pillar, but they're not going to move Bradley out of center field for Pillar. There's no way. So, because Bradley is by far the superior defensive center fielder. I don't care what people say.
Yeah.
But so I wouldn't be surprised if they got Pillar to share at bats with Verdugo as a left-right situation in right field, because they're not signing Kevin Pillar to have him sit.
No, definitely not. I mean, he's somebody who got an MVP vote in the National League last year for some egregious reason. Well, I mean, I'm sure.
I like Verdugo. I mean, I like Alex. I think he's a good kid. He's come a long way. I thought if it wasn't for the back thing, he could have helped last year in the
Oh yeah.
postseason. But I do think that he's going to have his days, and I can see him. I can see him hitting a ton of doubles at Fenway Park, and some of those American League parks like Baltimore. I mean, that's a bandbox. He'd murder the baseball there. So, in fact, Mookie Betts owns Oriole Park at Camden Yards, by the way. Owns it. He's had a couple of 3 home run games there.
All right, so that's all Verdugo's got to do. He's just got to he's going to play his way into that lineup, and he sees the predecessor, so it's going to be a tall mountain to climb for sure. Yeah. But hopefully he can crack that lineup more often than not, because it would be a real shame to see him sitting more often than not. But like you're mentioning, the back there are some health concerns, and still you wish the best for Verdugo. He's going to bring a different element to that Boston clubhouse for sure. Right. But just kind of putting an overall wrapping on the off season. Just how do you feel about what Andrew Friedman was able to kind of swing through? Months of doubt and months of striking out, it feels like. What do you think? How do you personally feel about what he was able to do for LA?
What's amazing is when you get to know guys in those positions with different ball clubs and you have private conversations with them. And I haven't talked to Andrew about any of this stuff. So I don't mean with Andrew. I'm talking about guys with other clubs that I know. Mm-hmm. It's all the stuff that you never hear about that goes on. The deals that might have almost gone down but didn't, the deals that were proposed and shot down immediately. There's so much conversation that goes on at that level, and I had every bit of confidence in that Andrew was going to pull something off. I was like everybody else, I was hoping that Garrett Cole would want to pitch at home, but it was pretty, it seemed, and I know Garrett personally. I've known him a long time, and I've always known that he's been a Yankee fan and wanted to pitch for the Yankees, and it was too bad he used the Dodgers as leverage to get the money. But that's the business, and I don't blame him. It's just the business. But after that, I'm thinking to myself, and I actually told some people at the ball club last year, I say, boy, Mookie Betts will look great in our ball club, and I really was hoping that the Dodgers were going to be in on something with him, and lo and behold, you start. When there's smoke, there's fire. You start hearing about it. You talk to people about it, and then lo and behold, it comes true. And I do think that, the fans, I'm sure, were getting on him. The media was getting on him because time was ticking.
Yes.
Well, the season hasn't begun yet. Spring training hasn't begun yet, and there's no deadline. So baseball is a game of patience. So if everybody was as patient as Andrew. He wasn't, he wasn't surprised. He was happy really thrilled to be able to pull this deal off. And, I am too. I think that he did a wonderful job with this. He had to give up, Jeter Downs and Connor Wong, but I wish, Jeter Downs the best of luck. But the fact of the matter is the Dodgers are in a position where a few years from now, if it would have been Jeter Downs' turn to play shortstop, Dodgers go get a shortstop.
Yeah.
Or they might have another shortstop in the system, or they can go get whoever they want.
Yeah.
So that's sometimes you've got to give up something to get something, and when you give up a prospect who doesn't project to get to the big leagues until 2021 or 2022, and you might win a World Series this year, yes. I'll take the parade over the prospect anytime.
100%. I think if you're smart, 9 out of 10 people would be doing that for sure. And yes. Like you said, for LA, that's dealing from a source of strength. You have another year, well, 2, but you could really see who a healthy Corey Seager is again, as a 26, 27-year-old, or 28. I don't know. He keeps getting older, and I keep getting older, and everything hurts. But
we all do.
It's an exceptional spot. So you just looking forward to spring training getting here already?
Yeah, I am. Not there yet. I'll be down there. What's today? The 11th?
The 11th.
I think I don't get there for another 10 days. So, and then once I get there, after the first couple of days, Rick Monday and I will see an awful lot of each other. I think we've got just about. I think we have The grand majority of all of the games we're doing, both radio, TV, simulcast. I know Joe's doing a few, and Charlie's doing a couple, but Rick and I will have heavy duty during spring training, which I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I mean, we saw Sportsnet's covering, I think, 30 games or all of the games out there in spring training, and I'm assuming most of those are probably simulcast, so you're going to be getting a lot of work in out there.
Yeah, I think 18 of them are simulcast. If I'm just going off my memory here, I think 18 are simulcast, and the rest are solo telecasts. And then we've got a couple of radio-only games, but most of the time they will be simulcast. I would say a good majority of them, and so it gives folks a couple of different ways to tune in. And doing the simulcast, it's a little different call. It's a little subtle, but TV is more. You let the analysts fill in, and you have more conversation because people can see it, but they can also see it on the simulcast. But you have to do it for the radio audience too. So it's a little different, but it's a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed doing it last year, and I'm looking forward to getting back in the seat again.
All right, Tim. Yeah, we're looking forward to hearing you in the booth again real soon, and we'll see you out at Camelback. We'll buy you a beer or something like that and bring it up to the booth. I'm sure everybody will really appreciate that.
Yeah, don't do it when anybody's around.
Tim Neverett joining us today, guys. We appreciate you again, Tim. See you out there.
All right, we'll see you at Camelback.